You are listening to Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies. We will jump first into Bitcoin. This is the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin from Bitstamp. What do we see it doing? Well, for the day, it's up 2.25% right now. We can see where Bitcoin reached its most recent high, not its high of highs, which happened back on the week beginning March the 11th. That was 73,794 American dollars. Amazing. We look over here at where its most recent high was. That was $71,958. That was 2 weeks ago. Last week, $70,601. This week, $71,074. So again, getting up there, but not hitting the prior high when it bumped up. Now, what we will continue to pay attention to is Bitcoin staying above the weekly trend line, which so far it is, and what is the volume looking like? And again, volume's not helping us out a lot here. When Bitcoin really took off, and hit its high of highs, you can see how the volume started off decent. We had a decent turnaround, if you check this out, where we had, 2 weeks going down, all that volume, and then nice volume going into a green candle. And then it started bounding up just 1 week in here where volume went down below average and then really pumping up as it hit its high. Then shaving that off, struggling to maintain, going over and heading down and then coming up again. But again, not with the froth and fervor that it had before, which can make you leery, as it should, because Bitcoin can have some real ups and, of course, some real downs. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Now, look at what Ethereum has done over the last 3 weeks. Ethereum, again, as Bitcoin was ramping up, we saw Ethereum hit some highs here, high of highs. And, of course, at $4,095, then rolling over, heading down. And then, of course, again, when we look at the low here, we can see that the low we had on Ethereum, the interim low at $2,845. And again, $845, it did hit a lower low here at $2,815, but see, it didn't have the volume. So, and again, the low, 28.45, and then it went lower, 28.15, and then things turned around, bounding up. And again, these are the scary weeks when you have not a spinning top, but a green up candle with a long wick on the top. And then, of course, you wonder, could you buy into the high and never make it again? The high that first week where Ethereum bounded up, that was the week beginning the 20th of May, was $3,941. The next week, $3,974. So it did go higher that second week, but then again, this week, $3,849. Now up for the day, 1.21%. Look at this though, look at the volume. You're not seeing the volume reporting in here as it did on that huge up week. Who could have seen that coming? I can't tell you. We could have told it. So again, as hopefully as these cryptocurrencies mature, you're going to have charts that are more readable. That's one reason we've been tracking them so long for you. They're getting better, but they're still hard. We don't have the typical chartability that we have in things like established stocks and ETFs with track records and chartability that you can backtrack in. So that makes it much more difficult and much riskier. Now, let's look at Bitwise 10 crypto index fund. This top 10 cryptocurrencies weighted as per market share. You can see where things popped up to that high of 38.50, that interim high. The next week, 38.56. That was last week. This is this last 3 week run up. This week, 38.30. So last week was the most recent high when you look at the volume, we only had average volume back on that first week, and we can see on the 2-day chart how things topped and then have just been running sideways and devolving with smaller candles and down movement. So again, where's this leading us? Either it's a digestion phase and it's getting ready to spark up again, or it's slowly dying on the vine. Now, typically, what is it doing? It's dying on the vine. But we'll wait, we'll watch and see. That's where we are with our cryptocurrencies. Let's go to commodities. We got a few of those for you to look at. The first to look at is corn. You know, we see not only with corn, but with wheat and with soybeans. I mean, we see, you know, how corn had started moving up actually back on the 22nd, that week with all that volume, the 22nd of April, and then moved up and then just started losing it back on the 20th of May, and then a big down week so far for corn as you watch it roll over. Same thing as we look at wheat. It had bounded up and then blew through its trend line this week, went from green up candles to a spinning top. And we can see where corn had, you know, let's see, did it get higher? That is 647, 648 last week. But again, so close with all that volume, and then a spinning top, maybe a red spinning top before it's over, which would typically for us portend a down move coming. I'm guessing that's probably where things are. Soybeans, same kind of thing, moving up for a few weeks and then devolving and accelerating down this week. Next, let's look at the precious metal of silver. Silver had a streak starting on the 6th of May. Of course, we had our interim down with higher than average volume, had a green turnaround candle, and then things really peaked, really saw it. Let's see, the high 2 weeks ago was 29.56, 29.47 last week, and then just slammed right through that beautiful trend line, although we could see the slowing with that candle last week, and a red down candle this week for the day alone, 3.12% down. Now, we tracked fuel, particularly gas and oil, as they were rocketing up for many weeks as the market was struggling. And then all of a sudden they maxed and rolled over, and again, just keep on going down. Again, just moving on down, aren't they? Big down week already with the red down candle and all that volume. Up for the day, 0.58%. But you can see again on the doji, I don't know. Well, I guess maybe it was a little doji there at the end of the day. But on our Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, down in the morning, recovering a little bit in the afternoon. Let's look at oil. Oil, same kind of thing. Of course, oil peaked, and you had a beautiful. Did you just not have a beautiful turnaround? You see oil peak, and then you have that red spinning top, high volume, and then just moving on down. What a beautiful setup for a short. Just beautiful, and continuing to move down. We've already talked about wheat, so that is where we are in our commodities. Let's now, lastly, we will move on to currencies. We'll start in alphabetical order with the British pound. As we look at the pound, we can see the high last week was 122.88. This week, 122.98. So again, moving up. We've had several weeks now as these foreign currencies, some of them, have been just plodding up. And again, quite beautiful. Volume didn't help us with this last turnaround, didn't help us at all. It did help us with the rollover. You can see here where we had the interim high, higher than average volume. And then again, telltale signs, that spinning top in the opposite direction with high volume is such a killer, folks. When you see those, they are speaking to you. Trade me, trade me, trade me. Make sure you make that a practice trade when you see them. Again, coupled with high volume, as you get that interim peak in the opposite direction and then rolling over, if it's moving up, then of course you want a green spinning top when you get to the bottom heading up. It helps so much with high volume. So keep that in mind. I'll see if I see one of those and I can show you. We look at the euro. It is moving up quite nicely, again, reaching a higher high this week. Both the euro and the pound are down just slightly for the day, 0.15 and 0.16 respectively. But again, moving up nicely. And lastly, we'll look at the yen. Has the yen finally bottomed? Well, we've seen what was hoped that the yen would be moving up before back in early and mid-March. And then, of course, it just trounced over. Looked like it was slowing down at the end of April, beginning of May, and then slid back over. But maybe there's hope here. Only problem is we don't have any volume backing up any of this. And remember, volume shows you the investor sentiment. Price shows you what could be false. Could be somebody simply pumping the price up or pumping the price down, or the market searching for a bottom or a top. But when you have volume to back up those changes, see, that's the magic. That's the magic that you get when you understand how volume plays into this. That is what we teach here. That is why I tell you, and I know the students who love what we do here tell their friends and those who listen, that's the magic of understanding. And once you are able to conceptualize that, get it in your head, practice it, put it to use, you will find yourself becoming more and more of a charting master. Practice to show yourself approved, my friends. If you're using real money, and again, you are in the training phase and don't have a solid track record of making good, solid trades based upon knowledge and experience, you are gambling. And I will tell you, if you want to gamble, go to Vegas. You will have probably a lot more fun. Hopefully you won't lose nearly as much money, and you'll be able to eat some good food and be entertained. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team here at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.